Coming tonight. My name's Ryan Jaycox. I am the Director of Public Relations for Nepute Wellness Centers. And also, this is what makes this night so special. We're doing it here at Faith Church. I sit on the prayer team here at Faith Church, which is why we call this a night of hope and healing. This is a little bit of a different twist than what Dr. Eric normally does. How many of you guys have heard Dr. Eric speak before? A few of you, some of you. So some of you, this is your first time. So you're really in for a treat tonight. You know, what makes this night really special is the fact that Dr. Eric gets, I'm going to say frustrated because he talks to so many patients that come in and they share with them almost an identical story, you know. They face health issue after health issue after health issue, and they go to doctor after doctor after doctor, and really the doctor just says, listen, unfortunately, you're just going to have to live with it. And that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable to somebody like Dr. Eric, who has seen so many people, literally thousands of people, break free of prescription drugs, break free of walkers, canes, and wheelchairs, and live a normal life again. So what makes this night really, really special is what he's going to share is what we believe are the tiny miracles that will happen day after day, being armed with the information that you guys will have. So for those who have not heard Dr. Eric speak and you've lived in that cave, he's pretty much heard everywhere. You'll hear him all over radio, all over TV. He's authored books. He speaks nationally, really globally, not just teaching patients, but also they call him the doctor's doctor because he also teaches doctors as well how to get these kind of breakthrough results. So you guys are in for an absolute treat tonight. Make sure your phones are on silent. Those watching by video on Facebook and those watching by video afterwards, glue in, get out a notebook, because tonight is going to be absolutely awesome. Guys, please welcome Dr. Eric Nepute.
Thanks, buddy. You keep that. All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Okay, so listen, I'm going to tell you, like Ryan said, I'm really excited to be here to share with you tonight, but we're going to share some things that are a little bit different. No, a lot of bit different tonight, okay? And I'll promise you, if you'll listen to me tonight with an open set of ears, an open mind, and an open heart, that your life will be changed tonight. And I can guarantee that because I've had this conversation with literally tens of thousands of people before. And I know this message will change your life because it's changed mine and it's changed my family's life. So tonight I want you to have some expectancy. You guys go ahead and throw that PowerPoint up. I want you to have some expectancy tonight. I want you to expect change. I want you to expect something different. How many of y'all know that we live in a world right now where being sick and tired of being sick and tired is kind of the status quo? How many of y'all know that we live in a world right now where we spend almost $4 trillion with a T on our healthcare system, and it's neither really healthy nor care? And I'm not here to bash doctors, I'm not here to bash the system, but I'm telling you, there's a possibility for change. But you've got to want to do it. And I promise tonight, I'm going to share with you some information that'll give you the map, the keys, and the car, but you still got to drive it. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to share some great things with you. And I've got some really special people that are going to come up and tell some stories that'll really help inspire you. Because tonight, my hope and my intention is to motivate, educate, and inspire you the best I can so that you can take your life back. Because I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of hearing people talk about how sick and tired they are. I'm sick and tired of little kids coming in our office with bags of dope. And I mean the legal kind, okay? These kids are on all these medications, and their parents are on all these medications, and that's just okay. It's not. So tonight you're going to learn how people get sick, how people get well, and how they stay well for life. You see, people ask me all the time, well, what kind of doctor are you? You a chiropractor? You a witch doctor? You a neurologist? Listen, doctor in Latin means teacher. I'm a teacher. That's what I do. It's your job to help yourself with this education. Whatever you do with it is up to you. You guys know the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Knowledge is information. Wisdom is applying it to your life. So tonight, and by the way, we're going to give a gift to everyone tonight, a special gift. A special checkup, a special thing, a gift for all of you that are here tonight. You can go ahead and cruise to the next slide. But before we do that, I just want you to understand something, because this is something that really frustrates me to no end. When people come to me and they say, well, I've got the fibromyalgia, or I got the rheumatism, or I got the whatever you want to call it. You guys, there is no mystery about sickness or disease anymore. That's been found out. We know how to get people healthy. We know how to keep them healthy. You see, I'm a wellness practitioner. I'm a wellness doctor. And many of you may have heard that term wellness before. Maybe you haven't heard that term. But what wellness means, wellness is a state of health that your body's functioning 100% structurally, chemically, neurologically. And guess what? You become healthy. And guess what? I want to tell you something. Healthy people don't get sick. I'm going to talk to you about that tonight. That's a huge thing that's going to change your paradigm, because you're going to go, no, come on now. I know people get sick. Dr. Eric, you've been sick before. Yeah, I have, whenever I got unhealthy. So I'm going to teach you tonight that sickness is no longer a mystery, and how to get people healthy is not a mystery either. Tonight we're going to have a choice. I'm going to give you a choice to change your paradigm. You know what a paradigm is? It's the way you think. If you don't change the way you think, you'll never change the results you get in your life. Would you agree with me? Is that true or true? It's true. So we're going to have a choice tonight. You can hang on to your old beliefs. You can hang on to the old principles that, you know what, I'm 50 years old, I'm supposed to feel this way. Or kids are supposed to be on Ritalin. Or I'm supposed to be on cholesterol medications. Or my dad died when he was 50 and so am I. Like, you can hang on to those old beliefs, or you can change to a new principle that literally is revolutionizing the world right now, and it's called wellness care. Millions of people every day are participating in wellness care, and it's changing their life. And some of the folks tonight, they're going to share their story. Their life's been changed as well. Now, stay on this slide for a minute. I put this slide up here for a reason, because things are not always as they seem to appear. Does anybody see the old lady? Do you see the lady with her chin? You see her, she's got wrinkly hair, a wrinkly face, her eyes are all squinty. You see that? Well, when I showed this to my son, he goes, no, Dad, I see somebody else. I see a lady with a hat on. I see a beautiful lady there. Well, listen, I'm telling you, some of you see the beautiful lady, and some of you see the old wrinkly lady. Do you understand that? Your perception is your reality. If you think you're healthy, you're going to be healthy. If you think you're supposed to be bound to sickness and disease and problems and all kinds of issues and victimization in life, guess what you're going to have? You're going to have that. So tonight's not just a fluffy, feely, hey, y'all come and see me, we're going to make you feel great. I'm challenging your belief systems. Because how many of you have ever heard of a guy by the name of Albert Einstein? You've heard of this guy before? Smart dude, yes or yes? Yeah? One of the things that Albert said, he said a lot of cool stuff, but one of the things that he said is, if you don't change the way you think, you'll never change the results you get. And he also said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result. There's a lot of insane people in our world today. Would you agree with that? How many of you all, show of hands, know people who are sick, who are on medications, who are bound to problems? I'm assuming those of you that don't raise your hand have shoulder problems. We can fix that after the workshop, okay? But let's go ahead and throw that slide back up. I'm going to go to the next one. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if you change the way you think, change the way you act, surround yourself with the right kind of people, and get the right kind of results that you want, you can get back to wellness. You see, when people come to see us, stay right here just for a minute. When people come to see us as a wellness practitioner, most of you guys come because you have a problem. You have a symptom. Well, guess what? You have a symptom because you're sick. You have a symptom because your body's out of balance. It's not normal. This is not normal when people come and say, well, I just have my daily headache. That's not normal. My back hurts every day. That's not normal. That may be common for you, but it's not normal. 50% of any room you walk into, 50%, if I take this and I divide this in half and I go this 50% here, this 50% here, this 50% is going to die of heart disease. That's common, but not normal. Do you understand that? 68,000 people died last year in our country alone because of properly prescribed opioid pain pills. That's common, but not normal. Would you agree with that? Now, let me ask you a question. Let's throw that slide back up there again. This one, perfect. Did you know, how many of you guys ever watch like CSI or these crime shows? I love them. They're so fun. I mean, it's so cool because they can, they go to the scene of the crime and they've got all this B-roll, right? You know what B-roll is? It's all this background, of what actually happened and what the person's thinking. And when they look at a body, when they look at a body, they can tell when a body died. Do you know that? They can measure that, when a person perished and how long they've been dead for, because what happens is that when you die, no matter what the cause of death is, the body decays at the same rate. Did you know that? It decays at the same rate. Now do me a favor. Flip to this next slide. I want you to think about something. Think about this. Really, truly think about this. If the body decays at the same rate, no matter what you die from, but when you die, it decays at the same rate. If decay follows one core set of principles, isn't it possible that healing also follows a set of core principles? Now, I'm going to tell you something. I've seen things that you can't unsee. I've seen people that couldn't hear. I've seen people that were addicted and bound to disease and drugs not be bound to that anymore. I've seen people kick off their medications. I've seen people that are in walkers and wheelchairs walk again. I've seen these things. You can't tell me it doesn't happen. But there's a principle that we don't talk about in healthcare very much because our healthcare system is neither health nor care. I said at the beginning of this workshop, we spend over $4 trillion a year on our healthcare system, and yet we're one of the sickest countries on the planet. Did you know that? We have one of the lowest infant rate mortalities on the planet, which means our babies die more than almost any other country out there. And we spend more money than the top 100 industrialized countries on the planet when it comes to their healthcare, but yet we're one of the sickest countries out there. Why is that? It's because of this. It's because we don't understand healing as a healthcare system. Please stay on this slide for a minute. Would you agree with me, yes or yes, that our system is set up that it's a round peg in a round hole? If you go to your doctor and you don't fit in their paradigm, what do? They punt you to the next doctor. Now, if you go to that next doctor and you don't fit in their paradigm, what do? They punt you to the next doctor. Now, what happens after you go to the third or fourth doctor and you still don't get the answer from the doctor? What do? They tell you, well, you must be crazy. Here's some crazy pills. Good luck with that. Am I wrong? I'm definitely not wrong. You remember when we were kids, or maybe some of you have children now that had the little, I don't even know what it's called. I need to get one of these. It's like a little, it's a toy, and it's got all these different shapes in it, and you put the different shapes in there. Put the star and all that. That's the healthcare system. If you don't fit in that little hole, guess what? They can't help you. And by the way, let me ask you one question, and I've asked this question I was at Wash U and I asked this question in front of hundreds of doctors. I said, name me one drug, and I am not against drugs, you guys, I'm not against them, but name me one drug that truly has ever cured anything. And I know you won't be able to answer that because none of those doctors at Wash U was able to answer that. You got to understand something. Look at this. Go back to that slide of this little girl. Why are some people allergic to pollen and others aren't? Why are some people in the same household? Why do some people break out whenever the spring happens like this and others don't? Go to that next slide. Why do some toddlers get horrible ear infections and others don't? Why? You ever ask the question why? See, if you ask the question why, you'll get a result. Why do some people catch the flu and others don't? This year was a horrible year for the flu, right? People were talking about, man, people were down for 7, 8, 9, 10 days, but the others weren't. And by the way, if it's all about viruses, stay on this slide for a minute. If it's all about exposure to a sickness or a disease, if one person coughs in your room, or one person coughs in your business, or one person coughs at school, the whole school's been exposed. You understand that, don't you? So what's different from the people that have sickness and the people that don't have sickness? Why are some people have pain, muscle spasms, fatigue, indigestion, skin problems, or infertility, and others don't? Ask yourself this question, why? Think about this. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Does that make sense? And here's why. Please stay on this slide for a minute. The answer is this. All illness is caused by an inability for the body to adapt to one's environment. Now listen to me. Many of you have heard me say this before. Stress is the #1 killer of all men and women on the planet. You've heard that before, right? But here's the deal. We now know that's not entirely true. It's the body's inability to adapt to that stress. You see, the human body is an amazing thing. When you all came in this room, you sat down in these chairs and you felt that nice, cushiony, warm chair. How many of you don't feel that chair anymore? Because your brain's focusing on something else. You've adapted to that. How many of you know that if you eat a diet that is filled with McDonald's and riddled with bad food and all that stuff, your body has to adapt to that? How many of y'all know if you're all day long on your cell phone like this, your body has to adapt to that? If your body can adapt, it can heal. Now, I'm going to tell you something. We now know without a shadow of a doubt how to measure adaptability in the body. This is really important. Please go to the next slide for me. I want you to hear this. Stay here for a minute, please. Anybody ever seen this before? You probably saw this in science class. This is a Petri dish, and this has human cells in it. Now listen to me, because this is super cool. I think it's super cool because it explains a lot about health and healing. Did you know that if you take cells from the human body and put it in a Petri dish, and you give those cells the nutrition the body needs for those cells to be what? Healthy. And if you give it the right electrical charge, you know the body's made of an electrical charge. You know that, right? You know that at conception, there's this thing called the spark of life. Did you know that? It's been measured. It's been shown that, boom, life goes into the body when there's a spark, electricity. If you have a heart attack, what do? Zap you to bring you back. You like that? If you have the right electricity and you have the right nutrients, guess what happens? Those cells stay alive and they stay healthy. Now check this out. There's been thousands of studies that have shown that if you take a Petri dish, you give it the right nutrients, you give it the right electrical energy that it needs, and you introduce into that Petri dish a bacteria, or a virus, guess what happens to that Petri dish if it's healthy? Nothing. Those cells repel it. It's kind of like a magnet. You ever take a magnet and you know, like a positive and a positive, you can't stick them together? You know, opposites attract, right? So when you put the healthy stuff inside the cells, and guess what? Same thing's true with your body. If your body has the right electricity, if it has the right chemistry inside of it, guess what? Everything repels because it can adapt to stress. Now guess what happens? If you give the body the wrong nutrients, if you don't have the right electrical stuff in that Petri dish, as soon as you introduce a bacteria into that Petri dish, guess what happens? Immediately those cells start to die. And that's the same thing with your body. Your body is trillions and trillions of cells. That's what your health is. It's trillions and trillions of cells that are constantly in a state of adaptation based off of, is your nutrients and chemistry right? And is your electricity right? And y'all, we can measure that. But guess who doesn't measure that? The doctors who are just concerned about your cholesterol. And no offense to them, that's how they were trained. Okay? The doctors who just care about your high blood pressure. No offense to them, but that's how they were trained. The answer is this: the secret to long life and health is having superior adaptability. That's the key. So when I talk to people about what wellness care is, okay, you may come in to see me because you have a problem, you have a crisis. I get that. And you're going to hear some people talk tonight about their crises because you need to hear that. But our job, number one, is to get the crisis to go down and then fix the problem the best we can, and then guess what? Get you back to wellness. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you were practicing wellness care from the time that you were born, or maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, guess what you wouldn't have? Sickness. And I can tell you story after story after story and show you patient after patient after patient of families that come in to see us, and guess what? They don't have to see their pediatricians anymore. They don't get sick anymore. They don't spend all this money on co-pays and all this. And it's not because of just we're adjusting them. We're helping them get well again. Does that make sense? Now, stay here, please. Adaptability. This is important. Adaptability is like a grade in school. Now, it's like A, B, C, D, E, F, etc. Go to the next one. What does an F in adaptability mean? That's no good. And here's what I want you to understand. Go to the next slide. Do you think that people go from an A to an F overnight? It's a process. It's a slow process of stress over time, not being able to adapt. It's a slow process. Look at this poor gal's posture. Listen, I'm telling you, we have a major problem in our world right now. Structure precedes function, but guess what our kids are doing? I even have to get on my own children about it. When I come home the other night and my daughter's on her iPad like this. So I make her put it up here like this. I'm the weird dad that makes her lay on her stomach and watch that thing. or she's got to look at it up here. Why? Because we know that structure precedes function. And people degenerate over time. You go from that A, B, C, D, and then guess what? Now we're an F and we're gone. Most of us that are living in the world today are C and below when it comes to their health. Their adaptability is horrible, and we can measure that. Let's get that next slide up there, please. So chiropractic is one of the things that we do. It's the art and science and philosophy of long life, optimal health, and vitality. That's one of the things that we deal with. Hit the next slide, please. Some of these we're going to cruise through quick. This is what I really want you to hear. The number one cause of lowered adaptability is stress. Now let me ask you a question. I'm asking the audience now. If I say the word stress, what comes to mind? Give me some answers. If I say stress, what do you think about? Work, kids, wife, spouse, husband, blah, 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 hot, cold, da, 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 da. You know what I mean? All that stuff comes to mind. But stress is more than just the emotional component. That's where we get messed up. Stress is physical, chemical, and emotional. Now, the next slide I'm going to show you, go ahead and give me this next one. Keep going. Types of stress. Physical, go ahead and keep going. Chemical, thoughts and traumas. How many of you, stay right here, please. How many of you have ever had an emotional stress and you feel it in your body? Yeah, where do you feel it when you're stressed out? Where do you feel it? Where do you feel it? Yeah, neck, head. I feel it in my jaw. That's where I feel my stress when I get emotionally stressed. Physical stress affects us emotionally. If you don't physically feel well, guess what you don't feel? You're emotionally messed up, right? Depression, insomnia, anxiety, all this stuff comes from stresses. Now hit this next slide. Is it possible for a happy person with a positive attitude to still accumulate stress over their life? Is it? Of course it is. Let me tell you a story about a guy that I did a stress test with. It's a test that we do called heart rate variability. And the test is, we hook this test up and it measures your stress and it measures your ability to adapt to stress. This is a guy, business guy, successful dude, doing well in life. And I sit down with him. He's always smiling. He's happy. He looks great, well manicured. And he's like, I don't have any stress. You're crazy. I knew you were crazy, Dr. Eric. They told me you were crazy. Facebook told me. Okay? And so I said, let's just run the test and see what happens. Normal stress, when we run this test, okay, the normal reading should be between a 0 and a 150 or a 160, somewhere around that range. This guy's stress was over 1,000. So he's literally any minute could have had a stroke or a heart attack. When I showed him this, I said, listen, I get that you feel good and you're a positive guy and you listen to positive stuff and you're a happy-go-lucky dude, but dude, you're a hot mess. And as soon as I showed him that, he immediately goes, you know what, you're totally right, man. My life is so screwed up. I got so many problems. I'm like, Dr. Eric, not Dr. Phil, but let's fix this. Because here's the reality. Most of us are in denial about our health. We are. Because guess what? Here's the deal with health. Most of us have lost our adaptability. Our grade is a C, D, or F. And in order to earn that back, you have to put in the work. But unfortunately, most people aren't willing to put in the work to get the result because we want a quick fix. Well, why would I go here and spend all this time doing these treatments and taking these vitamins and doing this stuff when I can just take a pill because the pill doesn't work? You ever watch by the way, does anybody ever watch TV? Every other commercial on television is a drug commercial. And I know there's nurses and doctors in here, and I'm not bashing anybody, but did you know at the end of every drug commercial, the last 20 seconds of the drug commercial is what? All the side effects. When did, you hear this, take this pill, it'll help you sleep like a baby. Your hair's gonna fall out, you're gonna grow breasts if you're a man, you're gonna poop the bed when you're sleeping. There's probably a better term for that. But you know what, you're gonna sleep like a baby, but you may also go crazy and die. Now listen to me for a second. When did suicidal thoughts and suicidal tendencies become an acceptable side effect for medications? Did you know that is? When did that become okay? And when did doctors say that that's all right, just take this and you'll be all right? Something's wrong. Something's got to change. I hope you'd agree with me on that. Let's hit the next slide, please. Most important, it's impossible to prevent or remove stress in your life. Would you agree with that? The only people who don't have stress on this planet are dead. They're in the cemetery. That's it. We all have stress. So if we all have stress, shouldn't we all be working on getting better adaptability to our stress in life? If that's truly the definition of health, what are you doing to help adapt to stress? Let me hit the next slide. This is so important. Please remember this or write this down. I told you that the body needed electricity, electrical signals to make the petri dish and the cells work like it's supposed to. Did you all know that your brain and spinal cord controls everything in your body? Did you know that? Did you know that stress affects the nervous system before it affects anything else in life? Did you know that? How many of you have ever heard people say this? I'm so stressed out, my nerves are shot. You ever heard that? That's because when you get under stress, it negatively affects your nervous system, which then guess what? The nervous system is the computer for everything else in the whole body. It affects the immune system, digestive system, reproductive, respiratory, everything. So if you don't have a good functioning nervous system, guess what you don't have? Adaptability. And if you don't have adaptability, are you healthy or are you sick? Class? Sick. Well, I'm not sick. Yes, you are. You're in denial. And you can go ahead and continue to be sick and continue to do your pills and continue to have all these symptoms and problems if that's what you choose to do. Or you can do what some of these people I'm going to bring up tonight to talk to you about have done and made a decision. They drew a line in the sand and said, I'm not going to be this way anymore. The power that made the body heals the body, and I'm going to do what's right so that I can get healthy again, so I can get my adaptability back. Let me have the next one. Now, this is a little bit of a graphic slide. But did you know that over 50%, look at this, these are traumas, these are physical traumas. You may think, well, I've never had trauma. Who's ever been a C-section delivery? They pull the baby out by their head. By the way, all 3 of my children were C-section deliveries, but thank God their daddy knew how to put everything back after they, my son, let me tell you a quick story. Please stay right here for a minute. My son, when he was born, first of all, my wife, we were told we'd have a difficult time having children. We fixed that. My son was born, had a C-section delivery because my wife had some complications. When my son was born, 2 things were a problem. Number 1, he had an injury to the upper nerve in his neck when he was born because the doctor, they cut the mama open. You've seen a C-section. They grab the baby by the head and pull the baby out. That's what happens. Now, if I go in the room 5 minutes after that baby's delivered and pick it up by its head, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to knock me out. So they injured the nerve called the vagus nerve in my son's neck, which is the most commonly injured nerve with the forceps delivery, C-section, a car accident, being on your phone all day, whatever. So my son had 2 problems. He had a tremor. His leg would kick like this all the time. And the first 3 days of his life, I was like, what's going on? Understand this too. When my son was born, I was just graduating from school. I had a degree, but I couldn't find my butt with both my hands. You understand? So I didn't know how to help this kid. And the other thing that he had was he couldn't have his bowel movement. You know how important it is to get that meconium out? It's toxic. It can kill a baby. It can kill a child. So long story short, and I've got an emotional story about this, which I'm not going to get deep into, but because I never learned how to adjust children when I was in school. I never learned how to take care of them. And a friend of mine said, hey, man, this is what you need to do. And I remember my son screaming. He's got a distended belly, and my mother-in-law, I love her to death. She's known me since I was this big, so she kind of knew me before, you know what I mean? She knew that little snot-nosed kid that was trying to date her daughter, kind of a guy, right? Not Dr. Eric, totally different person. Can you all relate? Okay, we'll just leave it there. And she's like, you better get those doctors, get those real doctors. They wanted to give my kid all these pills and give him these enemas, and they're talking about surgery and all this stuff. I'm like, what is going on? And so I said, well, here's what I got to do. I got to work on my son. I got to get his brain to connect to his body. And I remember doing this little gentle technique, which we do all the time on babies, all the time now. And my son's screaming. He's just screaming, bloody murder screaming. And he hasn't pooped in 3 days, and he's really sick, and it's really bad. And I'm working on his little hiney and getting his body balanced out. And he's screaming. And I flipped him over, and I hear him go, ugh. And I looked down, and my hand had the most beautiful amount of black meconium poop in it. And I'm going to tell you it's beautiful because my son, after that, his shaking stopped, and his stomach was normal. And you should have seen the doctors at the hospital, because this happened in the hospital, and they were like, and they just walked out. And at that moment, when that happened, that was like a aha moment for me. Because you can't unsee stuff like that. And I'm just going to tell you something. God put that in my life for a reason. That had to happen so that we could have this happen, and then another thing happen, and another. So I'm telling you, these stresses that you've had in life are real. These stresses, put that back up there one more time. I'm going to show you one more thing. Go back to the last one that you just had, the Guyton's physiology. This is what really bothers me. I was speaking at WashU and a lot of their schools and all these, there's internists over here, there's GI doctors over here, there's people that specialize in diabetes here, and I said, listen, Guyton's physiology, which is the medical textbook, the medical Bible, if you will, for doctors, and it says in Guyton's physiology, the nervous system is the master controller for every entire system in the body. Reproductive system's bad, the nervous system's probably at fault. You got problems with respiratory system, the nervous system's probably at fault. You got problems with reproduction, you got problems with your immune system, the nervous system is at fault. Why are they not checking your nervous system? Why are you not getting your nervous system checked? Your life can be changed and can be different if you just get the body balanced. What does it need? It's really simple. Look at the Petri dish. It needs good electricity. Where does that come from? The nervous system. You know what else it needs? Good nutrients. How do you find out if you're eating the right stuff, if you're not eating the right stuff? You guys, my motto in our practice is we don't guess, we test. Simple blood tests, simple DNA tests, simple things you can do to find out where your health is really at. And miracles can happen if you do the right things. And quite honestly, I don't even like to use the word miracle. You want to know why? Because it's reproducible. It's science. And so, you guys, does this make sense so far? You good? Yeah? How many of you know people that should be here tonight listening to this stuff? A lot of people. There's a lot of sick people in the world today that have no idea what health really is about. Please go to the next slide. This is the first conclusion I want you to make tonight. Please remember this or write this down. Environmental stress, which everybody has, everyone has this, leads to a nervous system that's overloaded, which leads to lower adaptability, which leads to, hit the next slide, go back, somebody wants to take a picture of it, which leads to, listen, I'll say it again, environmental stress leads to a nervous system that's overloaded, leads to lower adaptability to the body to adapt to stress, which leads to sickness. And there's one thing I want you all to understand right now. Healthy people don't get sick, period. If you have an ailment, you have a problem, now I'm going to probably get a lot of flack for people saying that because people have been told, well, that's all right. You got genetic problems. That's going to... Did you know that 10% or less, this is what the research says, 10% or less of people's problems are genetically related? And there's so many things that you can do, even if you have a genetic predisposition. That's just a fact. And I get really frustrated because people just don't know the truth. And how many of y'all know the truth will set you free if you let it? But you don't have to take my word for it. Now, I asked a couple people to come and kind of give a little story, tell their testimony tonight. Can I get that little mic? Can somebody run me the handheld mic? Thanks. So, is it okay? I'm going to tell you something. It's not easy to get up in front of a crowd of people to talk. I want you to understand that. So, I want you all to help me please welcome a couple people to kind of talk a little bit. And please make them feel comfortable, because it ain't easy getting up here to talk. But how many of y'all would like to hear some true stories of life when people have had no hope, been potentially in the pit of despair, and now they start doing the right things, and guess what happens? Their adaptability gets better, and guess what they get? Healthy. Y'all want to hear some stories like that? Because I do. All right. Laurie, come on up here. This is a friend of mine, a real friend of mine. This is Laurie. Give her a little hand clap for coming up. Because this is not easy, I'm telling you guys. And I tell you, just focus on me. You don't got to worry about anybody else. Let me have your hand. I don't want you to fall.
I haven't fallen in months.
Amen. Hey, take this. Let's sit back here a little bit. You want to stand or you want to sit?
I can stand.
All right. So everybody, this is my friend Laurie, okay? And she's got a little story that she wants to tell you about her life. So why don't you give them a little bit, tell us a little bit about, when did we meet? How long ago have we been?
Right at a year.
It's been a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
First week of April will be a year.
All right. So we got to celebrate.
Yes.
What all kind of stuff do we need to celebrate?
When I came to you, I had fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
I couldn't hardly stand. My body hurt so bad.
Yeah.
High cholesterol, borderline diabetic, stage 2 kidney disease.
Yeah.
I was falling constantly. And
Yeah.
we're not talking little falls. We're talking broken foot, broken wrist, broken finger, torn meniscus, big time falls. And I had migraines. I was having migraines a couple of times a month, starting in the 4th grade.
Wow.
Y'all, that's 35 years of migraines.
And what about now?
I have been migraine-free for 8 months.
Yeah.
Not had a migraine.
That's awesome.
I have not put an opioid in my body since July.
That's awesome. Did you hear that? She hadn't put a painkiller in her body since July. And tell them, because I didn't do this, you did it. We just give you the map, the keys, and the car. You've also changed your lifestyle a little bit.
I have.
Your
I
diet?
did have gastric bypass, but I've lost 104 pounds.
Did you hear that? 104 pounds.
Now, let me tell you something. I went to WashU to have my gastric bypass. Everybody knows who WashU is, right?
Yeah, we do.
The leader, right? They did the surgery, and that was it. There was no follow-up.
Right.
There was no nutritional advice or anything. It was the doctors on your team that told me what vitamins I needed, where I'm deficient, that told me, you know, what I need to be eating and what I shouldn't be eating and how to change my diet. So yeah, I had gastric bypass, but it was the team that got my nutrition better.
Well, you know, you did it. Our job is just to give you the map, the keys, and the car. But what I want everybody in here tonight to understand is that she made a decision to take action. Like massive action is what created her result.
And I was a skeptic.
So was I when I
was
first
a
started.
big skeptic.
Yeah. This is Missouri, it's the show me state.
Right.
Are you still skeptical?
Absolutely. This is the real deal.
Okay.
And I can say that from my bottom of my heart. You know, I tell everybody now, they got to go see Dr. Eric.
Well, thank you. But the thing is that because people, listen, I want you to understand something. People do come see us, but not everybody takes the car and drives it like it's supposed to. Listen, how many of you in here know how to bake a cake or cook something? Don't you know there's just certain ingredients that you put in and you cook it for a certain amount of time and then guess what you get? You get a cake. But unfortunately, most people are not willing to bake the cake. And let me ask you a question. You've worked for a year to get yourself healthy because now let me tell you something, she is out of crisis, her problems are corrected, and now she's back in wellness. This woman has her life back. And I'm just gonna tell you, if you wouldn't have, clap for her, you should. But I want you to understand something, she did it. And you ought to be proud of yourself for doing it. I'm glad to be a part of it, but I'm humbled by you because you really are an inspiration. And there are people watching all over the place that can have the same result, but they just need to put in the same work that you did.
It's possible, you guys.
Yeah.
If they can help this hot mess, because I was a hot mess when I came into his office, okay? If they can help this hot mess, think of what they can do for you.
Yeah. Give me a hug. I love you, sister. I'm so proud of you. Okay, thank you. And thank you for sharing tonight. Would you help her down? Okay, so pretty cool, huh? And again, this is not, I didn't pay her to say this, by the way. She paid me, which is cool. But listen, you guys, that's just one thing about what's possible. And she earned this. She earned that right. And now once you put in the work, guess what you can't get taken away from you? The results. Now, there were some hard times and good times and all that stuff, but guess what? She got the result. You guys want to hear another one? Okay. Hey, Katie, come up here. Now listen, Katie's come a long way. She came from California to Missouri and all this. She got a really big story, and I'm just going to be here with her so she can, because this girl's come a long way tonight to tell me this story, and I just really heard all of it tonight. So come up here. Give her a hand for coming up, okay? So I'm going to give you this. So this is my friend Katie, okay? Her and her family are all here tonight. And I just, first of all, she has an amazing story. Would you kind of just give everyone the Cliff Notes, what we just talked about backstage a little bit? Where were you at a couple years ago? What decisions have you made in your life to make your life better, not just for you, but for your family? Let's just talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so about 3 years ago, I had a bag of pills. It was 32, but I had a bag of pills because I have legitimate health issues, and I found myself in an ER for like the millionth time. I think I've been to every ER here looking for some magical fix to fix what was going on with me. And I had this amazing experience, and it just woke me up. I was laying on the hospital bed, and I realized that this was going to be my life, and I was going to be alone. If I made it to be old and alone in this hospital bed, trying to figure out what is wrong with me. I was such a conundrum. I couldn't figure myself out. And so I had this experience, and it was like I could make one of two decisions: continue the way I was going, or fight for my life. And so after sitting on a cold park bench waiting for my amazing fiance to come pick me up, I had a good conversation with God, and I decided in that moment that I was going to change, that was going to be my last ER visit to try to fix myself, that I was going to work on fixing myself. And so I just kind of hit the ground running after that, and I started looking for ways to better myself, going to AA meetings, getting off of all the drugs. I actually had a horrible, horrible detox that it's a miracle that I made it through, because like you said about the commercials, that we accept that contemplating suicide is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay, and that's where I found myself with a 3-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy. Contemplating suicide, I had so much to live for, but the drugs had my mind just clouded. And so with God's help and my family's help, I got through it. I can't say that I had a doctor help me, because they just kept giving me drugs, which were making it worse.
But you've changed your life. Like you're off your drugs.
Yeah, I don't take anything.
You're doing vitamins, supplements, eating clean.
Yes.
You're setting an example for your family now how to do this.
Yes.
You're getting adjustments. You're doing all these things to get yourself healthy. Yes. Think about how far you've come, and think about this. Where would you be if you didn't make that decision that you deserve to be healthy, and that what you were doing wasn't working? I mean, who knows where you'd be right now?
It's a scary thought. It really is. I wouldn't have this beautiful 1-year-old little girl right here, that's for sure, because I had her with no drugs. I had a C-section, and I had no drugs. Like, it was completely sober, because I did not.
Because you didn't want to go back to that.
I did not want that insanity to get flipped back.
Wow.
And so I did it.
So, again, pretty intense, right? And I just wanted her to tell you that. I mean, this is a pretty extreme story, but I just wanted you to hear what's possible when somebody makes a decision to get healthy. And it's a work in process, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be the rest of your life to work on this stuff.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
It is worth it, and it is.
It is.
Thank you so much for sharing. Give me a hug. I appreciate you coming up here. I know it's not easy.
No.
Give her a hand, you guys. Thank you very much. You did good. You help her down. All right, I'm going to bring up another buddy of mine real quick. Pretty cool, right? Okay, Gene, why don't you guys come up here? I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. Keaton, come on up here, man. This is a cool kid. This is one of the coolest kids I've ever met in my life, by the way. He's kind of my hero, one of my heroes. Because I think he says he either wants to be a preacher or a doctor. I'm not really sure. I think he changes his mind every day. But this is Keaton, and this is his daddy, Gene. Can y'all give him a round of applause? What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Come here. Let me hold you while Dad talks. Come here. Can I hold you? Let me give Dad this. All right. So I just asked Gene and them to come up, and Keaton to come up and talk a little bit tonight. Talk about this little guy's story.
Oh my goodness.
Talk about his journey. Listen to that.
It's a long journey. Keaton was born with what's called spina bifida. That's where part of when he's in developing the neural tube doesn't fully close.
Right.
So when he was born, his actual spinal cord and part of his nerves was on the outside of his body.
What do you think, buddy? You doing good?
Wow, that leads to other complications. Not only is he unable to move from the waist down, he has bladder and bowel issues.
Right.
He has hydrocephalus, so he's got a device on the back of his head that drains the fluid so his head doesn't swell.
Right.
and he's prone to seizures.
Sure. Talk about how good he's doing, though. Talk about what he's doing now.
Oh, right now?
That's what I want to hear, what's going on now. I
Well,
want to hear some good stuff.
Oh, he's come a long ways. We haven't, well, since we came to see you, and he's getting his adjustments. We've had some stem cell therapy.
Yeah.
I don't know what all that does, but I think most of it went to his head.
Yeah.
He's really smart.
Yeah. So talk about,
He hasn't had any seizures in almost 4 months.
That's good. No seizures. They're talking about you. What about, I got a message the other day from you guys, and he was complaining because his legs were hurting or something. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's something new. We'll just be sitting there at the house, and he'll be in his high chair or whatever, and be like, my legs are moving. Or I'll be carrying him or whatever, and he'll be like, Dad, my shoes are coming off.
Yeah. That's a guy that's not supposed to feel his legs, but he's going to walk again, aren't you?
Supposedly he doesn't have any feeling down there.
Yeah, well, we know better than
You know,
that.
we've seen more movement.
Look how cool this kid is. I mean, he's just a ball of just joy. And we get the opportunity to work with him in our offices all the time, and he really is a motivation. Because I'll tell you what, you may have some neck pain or some back pain, but look what this little guy's dealing with. And he's getting through it like a champion. I mean, all this little guy wants to do is be healthy, have fun, and wants to get his legs back. And he's getting them. Would you give these guys a round of applause? Dude, thanks for coming up and sharing with them. I'm so glad you guys came tonight. Yeah, you want to say something? Say hi? Thank you. Out of the mouths of babes. I love it. Hey, Mike and Lynn, come up here for a second. You guys got a second? Come up here and talk to me. You guys doing okay? Is this okay? Is this beneficial? Good, please, because I want you to hear a couple more things about some things. Now, this is a neat story right here. And I know I got some other folks. I'm going to try to get to everybody. I promise, okay? I don't want to keep everybody all night. These are two of my favorite people on the planet. Give me a hug. Oh, you guys are the best. Oh, Mike, feedback. Sorry about that. This is Mike and Lynn. And here, let me give you guys this. And so the reason why I asked them to come up is they had given a testimonial, a story to some people that we had a workshop not too long ago, and we were talking about body types and weight loss and what's possible. And I just want you to understand something that's possible when you put your mind to something and you make a decision. Would you guys mind telling your story a little bit? Okay, go for it. Hold that mic up tight.
I'm Lynn Kern, my husband Mike. Let's see, 10 years ago, I weighed 415 pounds, and these actually were the pants I wore.
Wow. Yeah, clap for that.
So my journey, I've been a nurse for over 20 years, and I've watched people get sicker and sicker. Unfortunately, I was one of them that started gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight. And I got to a point where you don't fit in chairs. You look for churches that don't have arms on their chairs, such as this, to be able to sit comfortably, because it's embarrassing when you don't fit into chairs. So I thought I would die fat and happy, because we were happy. We've been married for 22 years this year, something like that. So anyway, you know, I just discovered it was time to do something. So I thought my only answer was bariatric surgery. I had a lap band placed in 2008, and unfortunately I didn't have the great results you've had. It prolapsed 4 times, and I was down to just puking water. They revised that, and I come to the conclusion that my food issues wasn't here, it was here. So it was time to change. So there was a couple things that happened in life that helped us get on the step to making changes. And you know, we stepped away from eating fast food and eating the big home-cooked meals to, come on, I've never been told I'm quiet.
I just got the memo. They just told me, put her mic up higher.
And anyway, so we started, you know, meal prepping and seeking healthy foods and making healthier choices. And about a year into that, we discovered this guy, because one of the things that happened in nursing school is I went on an antidepressant because I just wasn't myself. The stress was taking over me. So I took this pill for like 20 years. I tried to get off of it because my life is totally orchestrated the way I want it. I'm happily married. We have a home. We don't have to worry about if our lights are going to come on. You know, our bills are paid. I have nothing to be sad about. I have phenomenal parents, phenomenal family, phenomenal friends. Literally, it's a wonderful life. And so I tried to get off this pill, and I couldn't. And every time I would wean down, I would just cry and cry and cry. So my friend told me about this guy. So as a nurse, I'm like, okay, whatever, let's try this. And I went in, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So, you know, he would tell me something, and I literally would sit in his parking lot and Google it because I'm a nurse, and he's crazy. So lo and behold, 6 months later, I was off my antidepressant, and that has been, I think, 5 years in January. Thank you.
Yeah, wow.
You know, so I just have to say, it starts here. You make a choice. There's a lot of high cholesterol in my family, high blood pressure in my family, and arthritis in my family. And I watch them take pills, and that's the choice that they've made with traditional medicine. I decided that I wanted a different path because I knew what path I could go down easily. And it was time for change for me because I didn't want that path. That path's always there, but I was like, I'm gonna go and try this natural thing and getting healthy and giving my body what it needs. And it's worked out pretty amazingly. And the last thing I'm gonna say before I pass it over to this good-looking guy is I'm gonna say, you know, losing weight is kind of like making a paycheck and wanting to quit your job because you have money in the bank. That money's gonna go away. Weight loss and health is something you continually work at. It's not a finish line. So by all means, we could stop eating healthy, but our health isn't gonna be there. You have to constantly make deposits into that health bank to maintain that. So I think that's a big misconception when it comes to weight loss, is everybody's like, woohoo, hit my goal weight, I'm done. But it's kind of like working for one paycheck and putting it in the bank. It will run out, I promise you. So anyway, I just pray that you make a choice tonight to seek health. I can tell you, I've never woke up in the morning and went, oh, I don't have pain anymore, but I missed those Doritos. That hasn't happened. You know, I thank God every morning I wake up, I jump out of bed, and we go to the gym because we don't hurt and we can. So I'll turn it over to Mike.
That's awesome.
I hate to follow her because she has such
tough.
good words all the time.
I don't want to follow her.
My name's Mike, and I was kind of in the same boat as her. These were my pants whenever I started the journey. I was over 400 pounds. When I started, I was in size 56 pants, 4 to 5X shirts, and like her, I was happy. I had no problems dying, happy and fat. I was probably one of the healthiest fat people you'd ever meet because the only medication I was on was high blood pressure medicine. I've since gotten off of that with Dr. Eric's help and losing the weight. And the one thing I do want to say is it is a lifestyle change because we're able to do things together now that we were never able to do before. She mentioned, you know, trying to find seats that don't have arms on them. If we'd walk into a restaurant and they only had booths or, you know, small chairs, we would turn around and walk out. We walked out of a few restaurants together. One of the other things that we were able to do that a lot of people don't think about is we went to Six Flags together for the first time as a couple, and we've known each other since 1992. We did that 2 years ago. Because when we could fit in the rides at Six Flags, we were in college and didn't have the money to go. And when we had the money to go, we couldn't fit in the rides at Six Flags. So that was one of our things that we did whenever we were able to go. And it was a great, great time. I know you've mentioned in the past that diet, the root of diet in Latin is lifestyle change,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what it is. I don't look at it as, you know, restraining myself from anything. I look at it as this is how I live my life now. So, and I am truly living my life. So awesome. That's all I got.
One last thing.
Please go ahead.
Tomorrow morning, we're hopping a plane to Florida. We used to actually buy 3 plane tickets for 2 people. We've lost over 400 pounds combined. And being obese and unhealthy is hard. And losing weight is hard, but it is so rewarding. It is just so rewarding, and you feel so much better, and it's really worth it. So pick your heart. Life's hard, but you get to choose what your heart is. But I can tell you, it's fun.
Yeah, amen. Thank you for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
You guys are the best.
You're welcome.
Dude, come here, brother. Enjoy your guys' trip tomorrow. Always. How great is that? Isn't that cool? You guys doing okay on time? Everybody good? Yeah, this is good? Okay, a couple more minutes. It's worth it, yes? Yes, come on, yes. Get excited. Okay. Listen, I want to bring up one more person in just a second. I had a couple other people that I really want to bring up tonight, but obviously we're running late. I know folks are watching in Florida now and all over, but 2 things I want to tell you. Number one, a lot of people say, well, how do you get off these pain pills? Obviously, you know, you got to get your body balanced, you got to get the right nutrients, all this kind of stuff. But one of the things I want you, Debbie, raise your hand for a second. This is my really good friend, Debbie, right here. Debbie turned me on to, well, she really got me going with CBD oil years ago. How many of y'all ever heard of that before? Debbie's got a product display back there, and she's got the CBD oil that we talk about in the office. And I had a lady today tell me she's a cancer patient. Now listen, this is a great story. She's a cancer patient, and she's got a brain tumor, bad, inoperable, all this stuff. Amazing woman, love her to death. And she said, I want you to know something. And she's from southern Missouri, and she cusses a lot, which is hilarious to me. I'm not going to say it at church. But I want you to know something. And she was real stern. She goes, I haven't had a seizure in 4 months. And I go, what do you think that's from? She goes, well, I think it's that weed water you're giving me. I go, weed water? Yeah, that's CBD. No, it's not marijuana. She goes, I didn't think I was getting high, but man, I really enjoy it. Well, I thought that was hilarious. I mean, I love, at some point in your life, she's in her 70s, she just don't care anymore. I love it. But seriously, if you guys want to know more about CBD, I was going to have her come up and talk a little bit tonight, but Debbie and I are going to shoot some videos on this stuff so y'all get really deep with it. I want to really go deep with it. But I want you guys to stop by our booth back there and get some ideas about what CBD can do for you. It's amazing, this stuff that you can do. I mean, and it's natural. Because the power that made the body heals the body. If you put the right stuff in it, amazing things can happen. Be smart with your decisions. And I have another really good friend of mine, because there's like really only a couple things that we really promote in our office from a health standpoint, because we know that most people can change their lives by changing their diet, if they're willing to do it. But how many of y'all know it's easier to change your religion than it is to change your diet sometimes? But we got to do it. If you want a different result, you got to do something different. My friend Debbie, the other Debbie, there's 2 Debbies here. It makes it real easy for me. Where's my other friend Debbie? She's hiding back there. Hey, Debbie. My other friend Debbie is back there. She has an amazing product that we talk about a lot with magnesium. And I don't know if y'all know this, but magnesium is one of the #1 nutritional deficiencies on the planet. Did you know that? And most people, especially guys, men, we have major magnesium deficiencies. Low testosterone, hormone imbalance, all this kind of stuff comes because of magnesium deficiencies. We use it in our office all the time. We use it for pain. We use it for skin stuff. We use it for digestive problems. It's a natural solution to help with this. So I'll tell you right now, you get adjusted, you drink water, you get CBD oil and magnesium, you're golden. Drop the mic. So please go tonight and go talk to Debbie and Debbie about this stuff, because it's really important that you know that there are opportunities for other things other than taking Tylenol, Advil, and pain pills. Because if you really want to truly break that cycle, I mean, listen to the extreme that Katie went to. Katie said, listen, I'm having a C-section without any drugs. What? Just think about it. All right, I got one more person I want to bring up here, and if she's okay with it, we're going to do it. Where's Mackenzie's mama at? You ready to come up here? Come on. Please give her a warm round of applause, because she's really nervous about this. And by the way, you're not even here, just so you know. Just me and her are going to talk, okay? But I need you to hear this story. So come on up. This is a really good friend of mine. How long have we known each other?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Okay, come up here and just stand right by me here. You hold this, and I'll hold your hand, okay? And just look at me, okay? I really wanted her to come up and tell this story about her daughter. How old is Mackenzie?
She's 18.
18. We met about 2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago.
How did you hear about us? How did we meet?
You and Pastor David were doing a video, and she was in the hospital for 5 days with severe depression. She had suicidal thoughts, and I thought I was going to lose her.
Yeah.
And I got a hold of you. You emailed me back and said, get her into the office. And She was on Prozac, and that was sending her into sensory overload. And probably just a few months after seeing you, she was off of everything. Antidepressants, sinus medicines that she had been on since she was old enough to take medicine.
Yeah.
And she has been off of everything for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And she's graduating this year with a 4.0 grade point average.
And isn't she looking at maybe doing something next year?
Oh, yeah. We're checking out art schools because she's an amazing artist and she wants to get into animation.
So think about, that's awesome, by the way. Yeah,
Yes.
you should clap for that. think about, okay, woulda, shoulda, coulda. What would have happened if this lady didn't hear about what's possible and then didn't take action for it? Where would she be today? Who knows?
She may not be here with me.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And she puts in hard work.
She does.
Works with Jamie. We found out back in July that the right side of her brain wasn't communicating with the other side. And she was having sensory overload, and so everything's balancing out, and it's just amazing. She was almost to the point of PTSD because she was stressed 24/7, and now
and she's doing
better.
Great. But
Yeah.
she put in the work. Now let me tell you something.
Definitely.
2.5 years, this little girl's been coming to our office about once a week.
Twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yes.
Now let me tell you something. That's a big commitment for her mother to make. But is it worth it?
Oh, absolutely. And you make it possible. I'm a single mom, and I do whatever I need to make sure that my daughter gets whatever she needs to succeed.
Yeah.
And before seeing Dr. Eric, all I concentrated on was her limitations. And now I know that she's going to have a great future.
Yeah.
She just got her letter to Jefferson College, and she was through the roof.
Yeah.
So, and Dr. Eric and all of them are always there. Just last Friday, she had a reaction, and I sent you pictures at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. Please don't do that, everybody, but I don't mind.
And so I took her to the emergency room, and after that, I brought her in for her adjustment, and he's doing tests and trying to figure out what it is.
She's getting better.
So, oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
She talks to the doctors now, and you guys, and when she's not feeling well, which isn't very often, she hasn't been sick in over 2.5 years.
Sweet.
She's like, don't take me to my pediatrician, take me in to see Dr. Dennis or Dr. Eric. And I'm like, okay.
Right on.
So,
well, thank you.
yes. No.
Give her a round of applause, you guys. Give me a hug.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thanks for sharing that. That's so good. Let me help you down here. All right. How many of y'all enjoyed this tonight? Now, listen, this is a lot different than I normally talk about. I normally get up here and dance and sing and have some fun and tell you jokes and get you excited. I want you to hear some real stuff from some real people. How many of y'all learned some things tonight? Now, I want to tell you something about all the success stories of all these people in this room. Their success was because they got healthy again. You just heard Mackenzie's mom say, what'd she say? She hadn't been sick in 2.5 years. Why? Because she's able to adapt to stress now. When you're able to adapt to stress, guess what happens? Sickness and disease can't be on your life. I'm just telling you, that's the truth. It says it in Guyton's physiology. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity of sharing with you tonight. And my biggest frustration is that more people on the planet don't know what's possible. I want your help. Now that you know, see, here's the deal. You know something, you can't unknow it. You can't unhear these people's stories. I just asked these folks, would y'all come up and share your story? I didn't prep it all, and boom, here we go. So how many of you know people in your life that could benefit from this kind of information? How many of you could benefit from this information? I'm just sick and tired of this country being sick and tired and people not knowing where to turn, and the truth is right in front of them, but all you got to do is reach out and grab it, and then guess what? Run with it. Make a decision, make a change, make a difference, and make it happen. You all deserve a happy, healthy, blessed life. Your children do, your grandchildren do, your coworkers do, your loved ones do. You all can have improvement and adaptability in your life, but you got to put in the work. Fair enough? We still friends after all this? Good. Listen, I told you all I was going to give everybody a special opportunity, a special gift, and here it is. My team is in the back. They're probably also tired. Hi, guys. they're like, oh God, would you just shut up? We just want to go home. No, they don't. They're amazing. I'm going to tell you something. I couldn't do what I do without my team. Give them all a round of applause. They really are amazing, trying to keep up with me. So what we're going to do, we got crystals here. We got some of our teammates in the back. Go back and see Miss Debbie and Miss Debbie. See the CBD and the magnesium. But any one of you who wants to come into one of our offices to have an exam and consultation to find out what's going on with your nervous system, what's going on with your chemistry, and check your adaptability score, we will do that for you. And I'm going to give it to you for our cost of doing it. It's $29. Come on. $29, y'all can come in, talk to the girls, get set up. If you want to do it, great. If not, that's your decision. I don't care if you do it or not. I want to give you the opportunity to do it. But life is all about you taking advantage of opportunities so that you can have experiences in life like everyone else that just come up here and talked. Is that fair? So those of you that want to take advantage of that, please go back there, talk to my team. They're going to help you. Crystal's here. They're going to help you. We're here to help serve this community. I love and appreciate every one of you. Please help us share this message with other folks. How many of y'all would agree that if I did this again, you got 2 or 3 or 4 more people you'd bring? Yeah? All right. Listen, I thank you all so much for coming. I hope you all learned a lot. Please take advantage of the opportunities we've given you tonight. Thank you so much for your time. I love and appreciate you all. Please be safe going home and have a great night. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.